Да.
Du nie kennenlernen. Weiter живу.
Зайти. Ага. Все. Подожди. Вот, давай так лучше слышно, да? Ты меня слышишь, нет? Нет. Угу. Угу. Ну, ну проектор настроили. Ну, хорошо, но вы же должны будете видеть презентацию, так что у нас нужно, наверное, все-таки развернуть. Все. Угу.
Я вас вижу, а монитор для гуглить в другую сторону. Вот. Единственное, что, конечно, он с первых двух пар видно, а все остальное это сейчас с гаджетами надо будет тоже разобраться. Вот, у нас пока трех человек еще не хватает.
Ну, давайте тогда, вы заходите, у нас 5 минут пока что, да, мы начинаем представляться, а все остальные там, все, регистрируйтесь, просто нас слушайте, потому что, да? Угу. Ну, все, да, давайте. Угу. So, now the guys are going also to register so that everybody could see the presentation, so that everybody could have it in front of their eyes. Because still, you know the technical problem we faced. So yeah, practically everybody has arrived to the tasting. We're just waiting for 3 people, but I think that we need to start.
Это он отвечает? Мы тебя слышим? Классно. Too many voices around, Lana, because I am in the same audience with other guests, and they would like to be heard and to be closer a bit. So something like that. We need some minutes to wait for 2 or 3 persons. Yes, and unfortunately, to hear you, I should turn on the microphone, but everybody will hear us right now. So if you want to do some instruction, pre-instruction, it should be done without me on the line. So, yeah.
Oh.
Okay, maybe it's just good that you pour the sect first and we get a little bit more relaxed.
Yeah, let's start with the sect. Huh? Володя.
Burgenland benefits diversity.
Okay, so the people are just standing behind you, Vladimir?
No, it's just there is some guys who are standing just behind Vladimir. But in any case, we have 2 screens. One screen is on the laptop, then Vladimir could see us, but the other screen it's turned to the audience, so the guys see us also on a bigger screen on the computer. Yeah, so let us start with sect then, maybe. Huh?
And what time?
At what? Right now.
Right now?
Right now. Okay.
Okay.
No problem, sir.
We
are ready.
Okay, so and while the guys are pouring sect, I suggest us to start just to give the idea, maybe talking about why we gathered and what we're going to have today. So it's really pretty strange because I don't see the guys. Well, everybody, hi and hello. I'm really happy to that you gathered and finally that we have this semi-online and offline presentation. And today we're going to have a lot of wine from Burgenland, and it's Georg Schweitzer, the managing director of Wein Burgenland, who is going to lead us through the tasting and through Burgenland and its diversity, different grape varieties in all the regions. So we're going to cover quite a lot of different things, and I'm sure it's going to be really very interesting. So Georg, now it's your turn to talk.
Yeah. So yeah, hello everybody from my side as well, here in Austria, actually in Donnerskirchen, so just beside the lake of Neusiedl and close to Rust, a city a lot of people of you know. So my name is Georg Schweitzer, I'm the managing director of Wein Burgenland, and I've the pleasure to run you through Burgenland from north to south, from the diversity of varieties, from white to red, to natural wine styles, of course, and as well, we should not forget the sweet wines, which is one of the specific things in this area here. So, but before we start and talk about the diversity, I poured already a glass of sect, which is the very first one we have in the show up here. It's I had to open because I put away the metallic thing, the agrafe, yeah, in the bottle, and then it was opening on its own. So I already. So this is the sect I have in glass. And it's a so-called Grüne Veltliner Burgenland G.U. Classic sect. Just to give you an idea, there was a classification ongoing on the sect style of wine in Austria, which came into full force by end of October the last year. So we have 3 steps on end of October the year before, so 2018. So we have 3 steps. We have a classic style, we have a reserve style, and we have a grosse reserve style, so a grand reserve style. And the big difference is that in the classic style, you could use each and every method producing sparkling wines you know about. So it can be, of course, bottle fermented, but it can be méthode Charmat, so a tank method. It can be transfer method, but it can be injection method as well. So if it's a classic style, so it can be everything. If you go with the reserve or the grand reserve style, then it has to be bottle fermented. So this is the main thing. And here with the classic sect in the brut style, so we talk about less than 12 grams of residual sugar, and actually looking on the fact sheet here, it tells me it's about 6-7 grams of residual sugar in this wine. So it's a classic sect style for everyday's enjoyment, for every meal, as a starter, as a party drink, whatsoever. Uncomplicated, but not to say easygoing, because if we're going to taste the wine, you will see already the color of the wine. It has a touch of golden, dense golden color in there. So we're talking about quite ripe grapes we've been harvesting here. And the area where this sect is coming from is in the very north of Burgenland, so it's in the northeast of Burgenland, called Seewinkel area, which is the hottest area in Austria. So we do get really, really ripe grapes there, and this is the reason why we have a lot of color as well in this sect. If I smell this sect, you can easily smell this brioche tone in there, which is due to the yeast, or the second fermentation in bottle, being on the yeast or on the lees for some time. According to the law, it should be a minimum of 9 months. So if you talk about classic, it's 9 months. If you talk about reserve, it's 18 months. And if you talk about grosse reserve, it would be 30 months. Yeah. So this is for sure, just from the smell point of view, more than 9 months on the lees, at least to my experience. But it has already a lot of complexity in the nose. You get this typical green apple flavor, you get a touch of exotic flavor in there, but minerality is there as well. And in the taste, I think if you feel the integration of the bubbles on the palate on this wine, you really can imagine this is a bottle fermented sect. Yeah? Because quite often the difference between an injection method or a tank method is compared to the second bottle fermentation is the integration of the carbon dioxide, so the bubbles in the sect, and this is really a smooth integration. It's part of the wine, and you can see going the bubbles up. Even I have it now like 10 minutes in my glass, yeah, and it's still going continuously up, and the bubbles are quite small, so it shows of a high quality. The palate is quite balanced, but what is typical for Burgenland sect in this wine is the touch of exotic flavor. So we always have quite ripe flavors. We have even in the finishing, in the very long finishing for me, I got a touch of pineapples, dried pineapples in there, which is typically exotic flavor. And the harmony and the balance from the acidity, which is really refreshing on this wine, keeps it really alive and very, very approachable for drinking. I think the most important thing on this wine is to have it chilled. So mine would be now like 10, 11 degrees of Celsius, which is really, really fine. It could be even a little bit colder. So I think it's a quite good class to start the Burgenland diversity discussion. And the producer is Mr. Szigeti. He is one of the biggest sect producers in Austria. So he's doing his own sect, like the one we have in front of us, but he's doing a lot of sect for a lot of wineries in Austria, even from Styria. They are going to deliver the base wine to Mr. Szigeti, and he is producing the sect for these guys because he's such an experienced guy and one of the most traditional guys producing sect in the city of Gols, which is the biggest wine producing city in Burgenland area in the north or in the northeast of the Lake of Neusiedl. So just to get a little bit of drink beside a small portion of theory, because this has to be part. So I would suggest, and if there are any questions, yeah, please don't hesitate. Yeah, we have in this room, we have the chat possibility. We even have, if somebody wants to, like Lana or Vladimir, we have the speak button. So once you raise your hand, yeah, I can hand over and you can speak as well if you want. So I would say let's start with a little bit of theory about Burgenland.
Yeah,
Georg, you can do it
sorry.
either visually or you can do it in the tool. Lana, please.
I just wanted to say just a couple of words in Russian to explain to the guys how we are going to cope with the webinar Yam today.
Sure.
Да, ребят, пожалуйста, все либо зарегистрируйтесь, либо пройдите по прямой ссылке, которую вам Денис должен в чат сейчас сбросить. Это прям прямой вход без регистрации.
Lana, I've done it. Everybody has it.
И смотрите, пишите нам либо в чат, либо через Володю передавайте каким-то образом, чтобы у нас была какая-то коммуникация, потому что мы такие слепенькие котятки, это все выглядит немножко странно. Вот, но в любом случае, давайте поедем уже. Чат увидите, вот, отлично. Макс, привет, все ок, хорошо. Okay, so we are going.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So, I think everybody knows about Austria, yeah. And the main wine growing regions in Austria are in the far east of Austria. It's called Niederösterreich, Wien or Vienna, Burgenland and Steiermark. And Burgenland is the most easterly and the youngest district of Austria. So next year, 2021, we are going to celebrate being 100 years with Austria. And for sure, they're going to be one or the other 100 years wine of Burgenland. Yeah. Let's see how this is going to perform. Burgenland itself is bordering in the north. So I should be able to do it like this. I do it in red. Yeah. So in the north, if we go up here. Yeah, so we are bordering to Slovakia, and the whole area here is bordering to Hungary, and down here, I can't see it here, but you know the last bit of the Burgenland area is bordering to Slovenia. So we are bordering to 3 neighboring countries, And as you can see, the most important thing here is the Lake of Neusiedl, which is the second biggest lake in Europe without any external water source. So it's just rainwater coming, and it's called Steppe Sea or Steppe Lake. It's quite small. So at least my person, I'm 1.8 meters of height, so I could walk through if I want to, because the maximum depth is 1.5 meters in this lake. And there's every year a competition ongoing in running through, swimming through, whatever. But this lake is having a lot of influence on the climate in Burgenland, especially in the north part of Burgenland, but it goes down to the middle Burgenland and even sometimes to the very south region of Eisenberg as well. Yeah. What we are doing in terms of planting, you can see it in the upper left corner. We are about 8,800 hectares in size in total. Austria is about 46,000 hectares. So we cover about 1/3 of the vineyard area in Austria. And quite uncommon to Austria, we have more red wine compared to white wine. So 56% is red wine and the rest is white wine. Whereas in Austria, it's normally like, 75% white wine and 25% red wine. And there's a special one variety besides Zweigelt, which is the major red grape variety in Austria. It's called Blaufränkisch. And Blaufränkisch, almost all of the Blaufränkisch grown in Austria is grown in Burgenland. There's just some part in Carnuntum and something in the Thermen region where we can have Blaufränkisch. But this is the red grape variety for Burgenland besides Zweigelt, of course. Zweigelt is still the dominant variety on the red side as well in Burgenland. If I split up to the areas, so the north part, the Neusiedler See area is by far the biggest. It's covering more than half of the vineyard area in Burgenland, followed by the Leiterberg area, which is just here. And then we've got the Middle Burgenland, a little bit smaller than the Leiterberg area. And in the very south, you can see here the Eisenberg region. And actually, if you could see it, these green dots, they are representing the vineyards. Yeah, so it's not the whole area where vineyards are located. It's just the green spots here on the slide sets. And then we have a new region, which is Rosalia. It's even smaller than Eisenberg. So it's about 1% roughly on this one. From climate point of view, as said, here's Hungary. So from the east side, there's coming a lot of warm air and dry air to Austria, to Burgenland. We are the warmest region in Austria. We have about 2,200 hours of sunshine a year. The rain rate is about 500 to 700 millimeters. In the north, a little bit less. In the south, a little bit more. And this will give you the differences in wine styles as well. From the south, we call it Illyric climate, which is the climate from the Middle Sea, which is quite wet. And from the north and from the west side, we do get the cold climate from the Alps. So we have a big difference normally in daytime temperature compared to nighttime temperature, which is a good thing for the fruitiness of the wines. But on the other hand, especially in the north part, it's very, very warm. So we do get very ripe grapes, especially on the red wine side. And this is the reason why Burgenland is the red wine area in Austria, because of the warmth and of the heat. And the lake, of course, is one of the dominating factors. For the sweet wines, which is causing the Botrytis cinerea, which is, Trockenbeerenauslese and Beerenauslese wines. We can do like Sauternes or like Tokai in Hungary. So we're one of the, let's say, 5 regions worldwide producing sweet wine based on Botrytis each and every year up to now. Let's see how the climate change is going on, but we still are able to produce this wine. Right, so this is a general overview in the far east of Austria. As said, we have the regions Neusiedler See, Leiterberg, Rosalia, which is the youngest DAC, by the way, And the DSC of Rosalia includes a rosé, so it's the first and up to now the only rosé DSC we have in Austria. And then Mittelburgenland, which is the second oldest since 2005, and Eisenberg area. So let's get a little bit into more detail on the Neusiedlersee area. The region of Neusiedlersee, it's called the east border of the lake. We call this area here Seewinkel. So I just mark it that you can see it a little bit better. So actually, yeah, this part here is considered to be named Seewinkel. So if you hear Seewinkel, we're talking about this part of the area. Why it's a Seewinkel? If you're there, it's flat, 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 flat. That's it. It's a Pannonian climate, so it's really, really hot. In summer times, last year we had up to 40 degrees of Celsius. But in winter time, when I was young, we had minus 25. Now we've got like minus 15 still. So we still have the possibility to harvest ice wine in this region. The biggest regulator is the Lake of Neusiedl in terms of climate. This causes the average temperature of this area being at least 1 degree of Celsius higher compared to other regions with the same climate without a lake. Yeah, so this again will provide the warm nights. It will support the airstream from there's the Leitergebirge on this side. So there's a hill chain of up to 400 meters. So there will be always a wind from this hillside to the Lake of Neusiedl, which is cleaning up the wineries, which is drying up the wineries. So everything in the sense for a healthy grapes and healthy harvest time. Varieties, you can see it on the left-hand side. We still, on the white side, we talk mainly about Grüner Veltliner. The second one is Welsch Riesling, which is a quite old variety. I always tend to say it's coming, or it was kind of born in the monarchy times. So when still Austria, Hungary, and all these big countries were together. Welsch Riesling is just 50 hectares less than Grüner Veltliner. So we could consider those two varieties being on equal size. And Welsch Riesling is for sure, for at least from Burgenland point of view, the more interesting variety compared to Grüner Veltliner. Because with Grüner Veltliner, everybody talks about Wachau, Kamptal, Kremstal, which is a different style of wine compared to the Grüner Veltliner from the Burgenland area due to the warmer climate. Yeah, and then we've got the Burgundian varieties like Weißburgunder, which is Pinot Blanc, Chardonnay, Bouvet. Bouvet is a variety which you normally don't see in Russia. It's all drunken. It's all drunken even before the next harvest for the next variety is ongoing in the same year, because we call it Sturm. Yeah? Sturm is the famous drink, which is cloudy, of course, and it's harvested. Last year they started on 2nd of August with these grapes from Bouvet, and Sturm means it's the must which is just starting to ferment until it becomes wine at the end. So everything in between, I would say from 1.5 degrees of alcohol up to, let's say, 10 degrees of alcohol, everything is considered to be Sturm. And the earlier you drink the Sturm, the more sugar is in there because it's not fermented yet into alcohol. And the later you drink the Sturm, the more alcohol is in there and the less sugar. So it's from a sweet to semi-sweet to a dry style of Sturm. And it's quite a tradition here in Austria. Important variety is Semmling 88. The second name for it is Scheurebe. So it's the same thing, developed by Mr. Georg Scheu in Germany, which is especially important for us for sweet wine production. And then we just jump to the red ones, Zweigelt, Austrian old. It's dating back to 1922 by Mr. Zweigelt. So it's Professor Zweigelt who has been crossing this variety out of Blaufränkisch and St. Laurent. Nowadays, it's the main red variety in Austria, all of Austria. Then we've got Blaufränkisch, we have been talking before. Blaufränkisch, a very old variety, the first mentioning in official books is dating back to 1777, but we are sure that this variety has been existing even before, because the name Blaufränkisch dates back to Charlemagne the Great, which was around 800 after Christ, yeah? And he was naming all varieties which are noble and coming from the western part of Europe, so from France, for example, calling it Fränkisch, yeah? And this is the reason where the name comes from. And then there's another indigenous Austrian grape variety on the red side, St. Laurent. The name comes from the Laurenzi Day on the 10th of August, because these grapes normally change the color of skin on the 10th of August. So the veraison, as the French guys are calling it, is considered for this grape. And you might see St. Laurent even more in the future, because St. Laurent is having one special feature which is really important nowadays to the climate change. It stops developing sugar until an alcohol level of 12.5. So even if you do some chaptalization, yeah, the maximum alcohol you will have with St. Laurent is 13.5, not more. And with Blaufränkisch, if it's really hot, you can go up to 14, 14.5, 15 even. So this St. Laurent might be the variety for the future in terms of lower alcohol, although it's quite warm climate. Yeah, and from the soils, there's as this is flat and there's a lake, so we almost talk about gravel and sand everywhere. Some special regions, like this region here of Langelacke or Zicksee up here, yeah, they are quite salty. So you even can see the white crust in summertime when it's drying out, which is salt. And you can buy it and put it into your soup if you want. It's real salt you can eat. And then there's a lot of black earth and clay. Yeah. So you see, we talk about heavy soils, we talk about fertile soils. So the vineyards are really growing and growing and growing and growing. I just see a question here from Ekaterina. Hi, Ekaterina, by the way. Different styles of Grüne Veltliner from Niederösterreich and Burgenland. Yeah. So let's talk about Niederösterreich. If I talk about Wachau, Kamptal and Kremstal, we do have Grüne Veltliner being, let's say, depending on the regulation scheme, if it's a classic one or if it's a reserve style, but we always, with Grüne Veltliner from Niederösterreich, we do have this green apple style, we have a little bit of herb style in there, and this minerality in the back, so it's about the pepperiness. Especially Weinviertel DSC, you will see quite often this peppery in the finish, and the wine style is on the classic side more linear and more refreshing from acidity point of view. So we talk about 6 grams of acidity easily with Grüne Veltliner from Niederösterreich. If you go into Smaragd category, for example, in Wachau, or in Kamptal DSC Reserve category, just as an example, then we talk about more ripe style of Grüne Veltliner, which does not have always this spiciness in the back. It's more about exotic flavors, exotic fruit, quite often aged on the lees, so a more balanced body. And this is more or less the style which is comparable with the Grüne Veltliner from Burgenland. Yeah? We do have quite refreshing classic Grüne Veltliner as well, but the acidity will never be that sharp and refreshing as with the ones from Niederösterreich. It will be more savory from acidity point of view. It will be more rounded and more fleshy, yeah, from the wine style point of view compared to the style of Niederösterreich. Okay, so some people say it's more food friendly because you can compare it with much more different food than the one from the Niederösterreich area. But for me, it's a personal interpretation and a personal taste feeling. But never expect to have a crisp, fresh Grüne Veltliner from the Burgenland area in a normal year, of course. Yeah? If we have a cool year or a cold year with a lot of frost and things like this, then it can be quite refreshing as well. So if you look for a refreshing style of wine, white wine from Austria, beside the Grüne Veltliner, you should look for a Welsh Riesling, for example. This is more the leaner style, the straightforward, easygoing, easy drinking style compared to the classic style Grüne Veltliner from Weinviertel. So this is in a short words the difference between the Grüne Veltliner from Niederösterreich and Burgenland. Okay, let's continue. I just did it a little bit more in detail now on this slide because you will see a lot of repeatings here from the areas. So the Leiterberg area, called Neusiedlersee Hügelland, before it was called Leiterberg, is as well having a quite big influence from the Lake of Neusiedl. The vineyards are really located along the Leiterberg here in the north, and especially here in the south, talking about Eisenstadt, which is the capital of Burgenland area. And then we have other vineyards which are more related to the lake. So it's the cities of Rust, Mörbisch, Ogau, Oslip, for example. The other side, along the Leiterberg chain, we talk about Jois, Winden, Breitenbrunn, Purbach, Donauskirchen, Schützen, Eisenstadt, Kleineflein, Großeflein. So all of the cities are more related to the Leiterberg. What is the main difference here? Everything what is on the Leiterberg area, here and here, we talk about schist and limestone soils, and maybe sometimes granite in the Donauskirchen area. By the way, Donauskirchen is one of the you can count it on even one hand, one of the areas which is producing Grüne Veltliner in a style of Niederösterreich. Why? Because the Leiterberg is a little bit more cooler from climate, and we do have this schist and limestone and basic rock soils in there. So quite often in a blind tasting, Grüne Veltliner from Donauskirchen, for example, is going to be mixed up with Grüne Veltliner from the Kremstal or from the Wachau even, because it's the same style. So if you're looking for the Grüne Veltliner style from Niederösterreich, but you want a Burgenland wine, then go for Donauskirchen, for example, or even Purbach sometimes, you can have these wines. On the wine areas just beside the lakes, so Ogau, Mörbisch, Rust, and so on, we do have clay sites, black earth sites, but we do have the so-called Leiterkalk as well. So here's a mixture, but it's all about limestone. So this region, Leiterberg, if you want to summarize into one soil type, which you should not do, of course, but if you want to, then we talk about limestone all the time. And limestone is a perfect soil for Blaufränkisch, yeah? And as well for the white Burgundian varieties. And this is the reason why Leiterberg DSC, for example, on the white side, you can do out of Grüne Veltliner, Chardonnay, Weißburgunder, and Neuburger. And the Leiterberg red is done out of Blaufränkisch. And there will be a law change recently, hopefully, yeah. It's going to be 100% Blaufränkisch in future. So maybe vintage 19 onwards is going to be 100% Blaufränkisch. Up to now, you were allowed to blend with 15% of either Zweigelt or Pinot Noir, which is normally not done, but some of the people, they're taking this possibility. In terms of varieties, I'm not running through the very same again as I did before, but Sauvignon Blanc, you find in this area here. One which we're going to taste, Furmint. Furmint, a quite old Hungarian variety or Austrian-Hungarian variety, which is planted around the city of Rust, quite famously. Another indigenous grape variety from Austria called Neuburger. We will taste the Leiterberg DSC Neuburger later on from Mr. Tinhoff from Eisenstadt. And then, of course, Blaufränkisch, Zweigelt, and Pinot is there. So this is the Leiterberg area, which makes quite mineralic wines. A new one is the area of Rosalia. Rosalia is still a warm climate, but does have more influences from the west side of Austria because it's the open end of the Alps. So it's warm and cool at the same time, but it's a red wine area again. So we talk about Blaufränkisch and Zweigelt. So a normal Rosalia DSC is based on either Blaufränkisch or Zweigelt. And the Rosalia DSC Rosé, as mentioned before, can be done out of any red grape variety under the law of quality wine in Austria. So here we do have Rosalia DSC Rosé, and as you can see, the green spots are the vineyards, as mentioned before. They are almost all together in the area of Mattersburg. So this here is Mattersburg, which is the capital of Rosalia. and then going a little bit to the north. So it's a different style of Blaufränkisch. It's not as mineralic as the Blaufränkisch from Leiterberg, but it's not as heavy and bold as the Blaufränkisch from Mittelburgenland, for example. So it's just something in between, and for sure a region to look up in the future. From the soils point of view, it's almost the same like Leiterberg. We have just a portion of crystalline rock, which is, as I said before, from the Alps, the ending of the Alps in the east side. But we do have a lot of clay, we do have gravel, and we do have silt. So again, it's about fruitiness on this area. The area of Mittelburgenland, actually, it's quite a big area from the size point of view, but the vineyards are located here in the northeast of Mittelburgenland and a little bit here in Lutzmannsburg. Yeah. What is the main thing here? The climate is Pannonian, okay, but what you can't see here, if you just would go a little bit up, you will see the Lake of Neusiedl. So the Lake of Neusiedl does have an influence on this area, and we even have north-facing slopes here in this area where we grow wine due to the effect of the Lake of Neusiedl. And this combined with the more heavier soils like clay, loam, and black earth and loess is the perfect place for Blaufränkisch. We call it Blaufränkisch land as well, because more than 50% of the whole area is planted with Blaufränkisch. And as you can see here, a lot of international varieties are not Grüner Veltliner, but Merlot, Cabernet, and Syrah is grown there as well, quite often in a blend. Either it's a Bordeaux blend style, so it's Merlot and Cabernet together, or like with Mr. Gaga, he putting his cuvée Quattro, that's the name. So you can imagine what's in there. Quattro means 4, so it's Blaufränkisch, Zweigelt, Cabernet, and Merlot in the wine. So it's quite often this combination. I just see a question from Vladimir. The first side Burgenland looks much more multi-grape cultural in comparison with the biggest Austrian wine in Niederösterreich. It might be more difficult for consumers to recognize strong point of the region. What to do? Make a smart promo for all styles of Burgenland. Yeah, that's a good one and a tricky one, of course. And actually, you are really nailing it, because this was the biggest problem, for example, in the region of Leiterberg. What should become a DSC? Because in Weinviertel it was quite clear. Grüner Veltliner, the main variety. Mittelburgenland, quite clear. Blaufränkisch, the main variety. Yeah. Kremstal, Kamptal, Treisental, all these areas. Okay, we've got 2, Grüner Veltliner and Riesling. Yeah, which is fine as well. But what the heck we should do here in Burgenland? Because it was always the diversity. Yeah, we do have a lot of different varieties. And one of the histories of Burgenland is a field blend. Yeah, so we were planting different varieties in single vineyards. And this was a kind of insurance for the people. Because, the climate, the year in and out is totally different. It can hail, it can frost, whatever it is. But with these different varieties, you always made sure you have some kind of wine available. Because if it's just, let's say, Riesling, and there's a frost, and it's coloring, for example, yeah, then you get nothing at the end of the day. But with this variety, with this diversity variety, you always get something. And in the case of a field blend, you did not know how the wine is going to taste, because one year there's a little bit more of Welsh Riesling in, and the next year a little bit more of Grüner Veltliner, but you had the insurance, you had wine to sell. So this is a kind of insurance thing. And the thing for Burgenland is, if we are in not that well-educated countries and doing marketing for the Burgenland wines, we concentrate on the main varieties, yeah, which is Blaufränkisch and Zweigelt on the red side, of course. And on the white side, we concentrate on Welsh Riesling, yeah, because this is grown from the north to the south. And we concentrate on the Burgundian varieties like Pinot Blanc, Pinot Gris, Chardonnay, Neuburger. Yeah, but we put these Burgundian varieties under a certain style of wine. So it's a single style. Yeah, it's a Burgundian style, but not to compare with Burgundy, because we should not compare with each other, because that's always unfair for the one or for the other. Yeah. And we try to make one message of a style of a wine that people can understand. In more educated markets, like Germany, we jump into the single variety differences. Yeah, because the people know, they come here and say, we want to get the Welsh Riesling, we want to get a Neuburger, yeah, because they know the wines. So this is how we do, but it's a tricky job. I fully agree with you. It's not so easy, but it gives you a diversity, and you know, every taste is different. People like different wines. So with Burgenland, you have the chance to choose from a very wide palette of different wines. Yeah, this is the good thing here. Yeah, Burgenland is the painted Wales. Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's we are. Yeah. By the way, one of the biggest issues right now in Burgenland, talking about animals, for example, yeah, is the wild pork. We get a lot of damages from the wild pork from the forest, especially in the region of Leiterberg. So there, the wild pork's population is growing and growing and growing. And during nighttime, we're gonna get today one wine, Ried Feiersteig in Eisenstadt. It was grabbed up during one night completely. Yeah, so it's really amazing. But anyhow, yeah. And what's mentioned here, I think this is important for the Mittelburgenland area, especially with Blaufränkisch. 37% of the planted wines in the vineyards are older than 30 years. So the oldest ones are up to 75, 80 years even, and some of them are even without grafting. So they are on their own rootstock, some, yeah, and they survived. Or maybe they do just one grape per wine, yeah, that might be the case, but still it gives you a lot of depth. So the big thing here in Burgenland area, and especially in Mittelburgenland area, is we have a lot of history, we have a lot of old wines, and we can make this complexity in the wines in blending old wines with young wines. So we get the fruitiness from the young wines, and we get the palate, the harmony from the old wines in our bottle. Yeah, and the last one I just want to mention to you is the region called Eisenberg. In former times it was called Südburgenland. The main areas where wine is grown in Eisenberg is actually, I can show you here, this area, just close to the border of Hungary, or here you can see it a little bit better. With one curiosity, here in the south, I don't know if you ever heard about Uhudler. You know Uhudler? It's a special wine. So it's not called wine anymore in Austria. It's called fruit wine according to the law, because the wine law is telling you that the allowed or the permitted grape varieties are Vitis vinifera, and Uhudler is not Vitis vinifera, if how you want to say it. Yeah, it's based on Vitis labrusca from America. So they are grown on their own rootstocks. The names are like first names of ladies, like Cordula, Isabella, and all these nice sounding names. It's a certain style of wine, so you get a lot of raspberries flavor in there, with a, I would say, sometimes challenging acidity. So 7-8 grams on a red wine on acidity is quite high, and you taste this wine once, you never will forget it, I can assure you. Yeah, it reminds you. But the more interesting ones are, of course, here in the region of Eisenberg and Deutschschützen. The influence from the climate is coming from the south, so we get this, as you can see from here. So it's from Italy down there, coming up from the Middle Sea. A lot of rain is coming there. So in the north, we were talking about 500 millimeters of rain. Here in the south of Burgenland, we even talk about 1,000 millimeters of rain. So it's doubling. What does it mean? We have more refreshing style of wines. We have a higher acidity in the wines in there, and the structure of the wines is leaner, especially in the region of Eisenberg and Deutschschützen. As the name is saying, Eisen means iron. Yeah, there's a lot of iron content in the soil, and this gives again minerality to the styles of wine. And this is especially true for Welsh Riesling. So my personal view is that one of the best Welsh Rieslings in Burgenland area is coming from the Eisenberg area. There are even single vineyard Welsh Riesling existing with a really serious wine in there. And of course, the second dominant grape variety here is Blaufränkisch. Yeah? So the Eisenberg DSC is based on Blaufränkisch in the classic style, in the reserve style. but it's totally different. And we're going to have a flight today where we compare from the north to the south, the Blaufränkisch, and hopefully we can find what the theory is telling us in this area. Good. Then the name, yes, I will type the name.
Uhudla.
Yes, exactly, Uhudla. So it's so it's different varieties. You can have Uhudla as a white wine, you can have Uhudla as a red wine. It was considered to be the future variety when back in the end of the 19th century, so 1875 roughly, the phylloxera was coming here because those were the only vineyards really surviving because they are reluctant against phylloxera. But the wine style, we call it, they've got this foxstone, on the taste and on the smell, which is really, you never ever forget this tone in there. But it's a nice wine, and when you're down there in this region, you have to get this wine together with a nice bread with whatever local stuff they put on the bread. It's really amazing, especially in autumn time. You have to be there, you have to go there, and don't miss this out, for sure not.
We'll do our best, yeah. Ekaterina, what did you mean for the name of the single vineyard for Welschriesling? Which one?
Yeah, there's a Straka, for example. I can put it.
Yeah, Thomas Straka.
Yeah, which is here. I can, coming from here. Rechnitz, yeah. Rechnitz is on the south part of, you can't see it, but here this one is the highest hill in Burgenland. Yeah, it's called Schrebenstein. It goes up to 800 meters of sea height. The rest of Burgenland, just to get an understanding, the Lake of Neusiedl is about 115 meters above the Adriatic Sea. 115, right? The Leitergebirge goes up to 400 above Adriatic Sea. And this Schrebenstein, where Rechnitz is on the south side, is going up to 800. So you can imagine the climate is a little bit cooler again. We have the falling winds from the mountain here, from the Schrebenstein, and this is perfectly fine for Rechnitz. So especially in this area of Rechnitz, we mostly have white wine. In this area, we do have white wine and red wine. Okay, and then we have this important thing, Heiligenbrunn, with Uhudla.
But Georg, if we take, for example, the historical aspect of appearing of Blaufränkisch getting its popularity and the famous Austrian red miracle, so even before in this area in Eisenberg, before this Blaufränkisch was discovered, and Krutzler was working really, and other wineries as well were working really very seriously with Blaufränkisch. But before that, it was Welschriesling, which was the most popular grape variety, and the wine production was also mostly concentrated out of this grape variety. Am I right?
Yes, you're completely right. So Maybe you remember this red wine boom, end of the 90s, the French paradoxon, yeah? Especially at that time, the plantings of red wine was growing, mostly due to commercial reasons, to be honest, yeah? Except the region of Eisenberg, yeah? Because, as you said, Mr. Krutzler and some others, of course, down there, they are really, really, I would even say more than quality-oriented guys, yeah? And they looked what might be the best variety on the red side before planting anything. And they made a lot of trials with a lot of varieties. And then at the end of the day, it was Blaufränkisch becoming the major variety. Today, still, white wine is mostly planted in this area. It's not the red wine. But Blaufränkisch is the one which makes most of the noise in the market. Yeah. But as said before, Welschriesling was the white variety from north to south in Burgenland. It wasn't even Grüne Veltliner. Yeah, even Veltliner did catch up. Yeah, there were some older varieties like Muscat Ottonel, for example, especially in the northern part was quite dominant. There was Semling, for example. Yeah, Sauvignon Blanc came up. It was called Muscat Silvaner before, yeah, but then they changed the naming on it. But it was a white wine region. The whole Burgenland used to be a white wine region, but this is due to the climate. Back, when I was young, in the 70s or whatever, it's much cooler. I can't remember any summer where we had more than 1 or 2 days above 30 degrees. And now we have in July and August together like 20 days above 30 degrees. And this is the change. So we always say, climate change is fine for us because we are able to produce really ripe red wine. So in terms of Burgenland, the climate change is in favor of the red wine production. Yeah, that's the way how we see it and how we market it. Katrina is asking if it's allowed to mix white and red wine to produce Uhudler wines. As it's not a wine by law, you can do it, of course. Yeah, it's a fruit wine, which is a different source of law. Yeah, and because what Ekaterina is mentioning here is in the European Union, except in the champagne or in sparkling wine, it's not allowed to mix red and white wine together to produce rosé or whatever wine. Yeah, with Uhudler, as this is not falling under the law of wine, you can do it if you want. Yeah. Okay, good. Then, talking enough. I would say let's start with our tasting, if it's fine for you. So we had the sparkling. Here you see some figures. Grüne Veltliner Brut Burgenland, I explained already you the classic, which is the entrance level of the pyramid we have now in place for Mr. Sigeti. ABV is 12.5%. I think this is one of the big market drivers right now, especially talking about climate change. Sparkling wine will get a much, beside Prosecco, of course, because Prosecco is one of the hypes still ongoing, but sparkling wine has one big advantage. We always talk about 12.5 ABV at a max. Of course, I know there are some 13% ABV as well existing, but most of the sparkling wines are 12.5. And high alcohol is not healthy. This is what everybody's telling you. Yeah. So a lot of people looking for low alcohol wines, and funny enough, 12.5 is considered to be low alcohol wines. Thinking back 30 years, it would be just normal alcohol wines. Yeah? Now it's a low alcohol wine, and this will put a rise in the consumption of sparkling wines as well worldwide because of the low alcohol being more healthy. Yeah. The Gil sugar here is on the brut level, so it's 8 grams. Acidity is about 6 grams per liter. And I think this is again typical for the Burgenland area. If I compare this now with, let's say, Bründelmeier, Grüne Veltliner, sect, or some other, Leumer, whatever, they've got here like, 7.5, something like this. So again, the warmth in the climate is forcing the acidity to fall down a little bit. And this makes the wine a little bit broader, a little bit more exotic on the flavor point of view. So this is one of the big differences. But
I would like also to show, I think that everybody, the guys, I think that you already know, which I'm showing, is the Welsh Riesling from Sigeti. It's to the, I don't have the Grüne Veltliner with me. It's just to add, some info about the Welsh Riesling as well that we can, And it's the Welsh Riesling is a grape variety. It's also really very nice one to do sparkling wines and sweet wines as well, due to the level of acidity. Because just recently we've been discussing the acidity levels in Riesling and Welsh Riesling. So we think that still Welsh Riesling has higher acidity than Riesling. So, and if you produce some sect out of Welsh Riesling, it's granted that you're going to have it more on a higher acidity style, more crispy. I don't know.
Yeah, I fully agree. So Welsh Riesling does, if you look on the absolute number in grams per liter, Welsh Riesling is higher in acidity compared to Riesling, but the acidity is a different style when you taste the wine. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So the acidity on the Riesling for me is always a little bit more savory. Yeah. It's like you can really eat and bite on it. And the acidity on the Welsh Riesling is more refreshing citric style. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And this is for me the big difference. And if it's more citric, more leaner, then it pops up even more. And regardless if the number is higher or lower, even if it would be the same number, like 6 grams per liter on Riesling and on Welsh Riesling, the taste on the Welsh Riesling would be more citric than the one on the Riesling.
That's good to know. This is nice tips for the blind tasting.
Yeah. I'm doing this training, and so okay. Yeah, but this is there's acidity and there's acidity, and per definition, I don't know who has been doing the level 4 WSCT diploma program, for example. So there are like 20 different words for describing the acidity. Yeah, based on this fact.
It is.
Good. Okay. Let's move to the first flight. It's quite an interesting one. Vladimir is going to pour the wines, as I see, because he's left.
He's
so I called it Whites, the classics. So I was concentrating. Actually, the wines are all taken from the market in Russia, so they are available, and you will see the importer or the distributor and the slides as well. And that's the reason why we have different vintages as well, which is good because we can show how wines from Burgenland or wines from Austria in general are able to age. Even the whites, the classics one, are able to age. Because if you talk about classics, and I talk about classics in terms of Burgenland, these are two different things. Classics in terms of Burgenland means white wines from the vintage 19. Easygoing, drink in 1 year, and that's it. That's classic in a Austrian understanding. The classics in this understanding is kind of benchmarks or white wines which really make a noise in the world, which are considered to be, this is Austria in terms of white wines, right? Good. Let's start with the first one, which is, I can show you, I have it even here, the Furmint from Mr. Wenzel aus Rust. As said before, Furmint is a variety which is quite old, it's dating back to Hungary. Furmint is still planted quite a lot in Hungary, especially in the area of Tokai, and there Furmint is used for the Asü, so for the sweet wines, for the botrytis wines they are using, but there is a change ongoing in Tokai as well, because sweet wine is not an easy sell right now. So they're going to have a lot of dry Furmint wines as well, beside the Samarodni, which is coming up and becoming even more important nowadays with a new styles winemaker. And on the other side, just a side comment, because when I talk about sweet wine and change of palate of the people, I don't know if you're aware of Sauterne. They are right now discussing to make a dry Sauterne under the label of Sauterne. Because up to now, if you put Sauterne on the label, it has to be sweet by definition. And they are now looking to update the appellation rules to include as well dry wines from Sauterne and still put, let's say, Sauterne Sec or whatever on the label. So let's see what's coming up there. But this gives you the understanding that the sweet wine is really, really a hard sell, and the people try to adopt. So with this Furmint, old variety is planted in Rust and partially in Ogau as well, and there's some plantings in Frauenkirchen on the east side of the lake. Furmint always considered to be a quite, if it's not fully ripe, it's a quite harsh wine, to be honest, But if it's ripe, like this one we have in the glass, and vintage 2018 was one of the warmest vintages we ever had, and almost everything got ripe. It was a dry year, it was a hot year. Even in September time, we got a little bit of rain, but for example, these Furmint grapes have been harvested beginning of September, And we talk about 12% of alcohol. Knowing Mr. Wenzel in Rust, he's not I always say that the young Mr. Wenzel, so it's the boy of the there are 3 generations, like the grandfather, the father, and the son in this winery, and now the son is running the winery, and he's doing different style of wine. So what he's doing, for example, although the fact that Furmint can be a little bit bitter because it does have phenolics, he's putting whole bunch press in there. So you have to consider yeah, not the tannins, but the phenolics coming from these steams if you press too hard. And then he's putting the wine on the lees for about 5 months before bottling. So, and on top of that, is putting it on the skins on the cold soak for 2 days. So you really see there's a move to this new way of making wines. It's not all clear and clean, what you learn normally in school, how to do wine, but it's rather to get more impression from the variety into the wines, which I like very much. And if I smell, so let's from the color point of view, at least in my glass, it's a medium color with golden hints in there, but still having a touch of green spots in there. So it looks to be really, really young for me. But in the nose, I think it's quite clear that this is not matured, but this is having cold contact with the skins for quite a while, because you get this touch of earthiness in there. You get kind of quince in this wine. You get green apples, you get herbal aromas in there. So there's a real complexity of fruitiness in this wine. You don't get any oak influence, so the wine wasn't put in any oak at all. It's in this case, it's big neutral vats, I think 1,200 liter vats, just for a period of five months, and naturally fermented, spontaneous fermentation, so not selected yeast or anything like this, just as it goes. So the grapes, cut it, hand harvested, full bunch into the vats. So stand there for a couple of hours, then doing the pressing, and then the must was fermenting on its own spontaneously. And then keeping it 5 months on the lees, on the cross lees, as well as on the fine lees, yeah, trying to get it really not too reductive, so steering it around a little bit. And I think on the palate, what you feel immediately is this roundness and the softness of this wine on your palate due to the lees aging. It really makes it kind of creamy, I would say, yeah. But it has quite a developed flavor in terms of ripe apples in there, plus some quince, some herbal aromas, a touch of bitterness in the back, in the finish, yeah, if you taste it, which is really animating. So it's a positive bitterness, phenolics in the end. But what I like very much is the lower alcohol on this wine. It's not warming up in the back as much. And for full mint, it has got a quite low acidity, which is a really good fit to this style of wine. So I would like to get this wine together with a typical Austrian cuisine, like Schnitzel, for example, yeah. Or if you go for Schweinsbraten, so this is really a very, very good complement for a traditional Austrian kitchen, with an animating bitterness in the end, and the finish for me has a moderate length, which is refreshing, and you would like to get a second sip immediately, at least on my side, on this wine. So I think this is a really interesting wine, not as clean and straightforward as you would learn it in some schools, yeah, but you get more wine in the glass, and this is due to the production method of this wine being half traditional, but on the other side being half on the, let's call it, natural side of winemaking. So it's something in between, which fits perfectly to this wine. Do you agree, Lana?
Yeah, guys, we're waiting for your comments. Maybe you can put something in chat, or Vladimir, you can also comment. Yeah, you're welcome, so that we could feel that you're tasting, and just to get your ideas and opinions. Talk with us, please.
It looks as if they just woken up and the audience just start smiling during the first glass. So let's wait and let's give them some more examples.
Yeah. Maybe don't do it in that detail on every wine, but just in the very beginning, you know, that you'll get an idea about. So, but this is good. Maybe let's. I don't know, how many glasses do you have in front of you? Just one? Or?
everybody has 4 glasses.
4 glasses. Okay. Did you put the full flight already in?
Yes. The first flight are in the glasses.
Okay. So I was just asking for another glass because I only have 3 in front of mine. So I will put the whole flight in my. So, okay, then let's compare it to the second wine, which is the Leiterberg DSC Pinot Blanc 2016 from Mr. Prieler in Schützen am Gebirge. Pinot Blanc, a traditional old variety for Austria as well. It always has been, the history tells you that it has been mixed normally with Pinot Gris or with Grauburgunder as we call it, and sometimes with Chardonnay as well, but now it's a standalone wine due to the potential of the variety, and especially Mr. Prieler, the winery of Prieler, is a Pinot Blanc specialist, I have to say so. So if you're there and you have the chance to taste, ask tasting back to vintage 69, 75, 77, for example. This is really, really, really amazing. Yeah. And this Pinot Blanc, for me, it does have a second one. It's called Seeberg as well, which is single vineyard Pinot Blanc. I think Lana has it in front of her. Yeah. These are really the benchmark Pinot Blancs for Weißburgunder from Burgenland. Right. So, yeah, I think the big difference here is the nose is much more elegant on this wine, and the first impression I get is minerality in this wine. A touch of nuttiness is in there. It's a little bit more restrained from the flavor compared to the Furmint from before. And a touch of herbal aroma is there as well. Yeah, on the palate, you can feel the more refreshing acidity immediately. Yeah, it's more crispy. Let's say it like that. It's much drier than the wine before. And that's gives you as well the impression of maybe not being that smooth and easygoing as the Furmint before, but it's on the other side, for me, it's a little bit more interesting. In the very end, you feel the warmth from the alcohol. As you can see, it's 13.5% of ABV. But for me, the finish on this wine is much more fresher compared to the Furmint from before. So it's a different style question, what you prefer and what you choose to drink. But for a Pinot Blanc, and I think you have to have it in the glass for a couple of minutes, then it will open up. This is quite normal for Pinot Blanc. And 2016 wasn't the best vintage. And because there was a lot of frost end of April, so the harvest was like down by 1/3 in general in Burgenland in 16. And on top of that, we got rain in September at harvest time. But if this is a bad vintage, what we have in the glass right now, just looking forward to the good vintages. Yeah, so I think this is really good, and for me, this wine has a lifetime of another like 10 years. So if I would like to open this wine in 5 to 10 years from now, and then try to taste it, because it's really very balanced and elegant, and especially the finish. I think it's really animating finish, which gives you a lot of pleasure.
Yeah, I just would like to add, each time when we meet with Georg, Prieler, we all the time try to, well, we're tasting different vintages, but it's always a joke between us because I do love cooler vintages wines, just like Georg as well, because I have vintage 2018, the Seeberg. It is just amazing, though. For Georg, it's like a basic wine. I mean, basic wine from single vineyard, the Ried Seeberg. But still, there is the difference, of course, between the 2016 and 2018. But the wines, all of them are amazing. And practically all the guys that are right now in the tasting room in class in Wein State, practically all of them been to Georg and know him pretty well, Mr. President of Leiterberg DAC. These are really amazing
Yeah.
wines. And talking about 2016, the troubles, I do remember it started in April, at
Yes.
the very moment when Josef Humatum and Heinz Wehrlich were in St. Petersburg doing the presentations and tastings. So it was really, very... that was the worst time, I think, that you could ever have. And I remember that Heinz Wehrlich lost up to 90% of his Chardonnay and of his vintage.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a disaster. But those who know their own vines and who managed it, I mean, who survived firstly the frosts, the late frosts in April, and could wait a little bit when it was rainy, they performed really, they produced really amazing wines.
Yes, especially on the red wine side. Harvest in October, so Blaufränkisch, for example, 16 is considered one of the best vintages for Blaufränkisch in 16. Yeah. And at that time they were burning some straw, and you could just see a smoke cloud above Burgenland at that time, just to fight against the frost in there, right? Okay. This is the Pinot Blanc from, by the way, Georg Brille is not the head of Leiterberg DSC anymore. They have a constant change. So it's now Sommer, Leo Sommer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, we have some comments on Furmint from Ekaterina and Svetlana.
Yeah, I fully agree with Svetlana on this one.
Yeah, glass 4.
Yeah, sure. On the Pinot Blanc, a bigger glass would help. Yeah, as you know, there is more aromas coming out of the glass. That's the reason why I said just wait 5 to 10 minutes, and you will see how it's going to really explode in terms of flavor. Pinot Blanc, as such, Weißburgunder as such, is a more restrained variety. It's not that loud like Sauvignon Blanc or Muscat or something like this. Yeah, Pinot Blanc is, and you will see, Neuburger is even less aromatic than Pinot Blanc. Yeah, normally. But I always say these are wines working with the structure and not with the nose. Yeah. So the question is, what do you prefer? Yeah. But the next one is our Neuburger from Winery Tinhof in Trausdorf. Neuburger, a very old variety. It belongs somehow to the Burgundian family, so it comes together with the Chardonnay, Pinot Gris, and Pinot Blanc. It's coming from the site in Eisenstadt. It's Feiersteig. It's called. And this is where the wild porks were really doing a big damage. And he's one of the, let's say, there may be like 10 producers in Austria still doing Neuburger. Yeah. And the reason why Neuburger is not considered to be a trendy variety is because it's flavorless. Yeah. So normally you have nutty aromas and that's it. So not that much of a fruit in there. And it's hard to work. It's hard to work in the vineyard. And it's hard to work in the winery because the grapes, the skin is really, let's say, condensed and hard, as well as the inside of the grape. And a lot of people broke their presses in pressing Neuburger, for example, because there's really hard skin in there. Yeah, and that's the reason why some people said, okay, I don't play with Neuburger. But let's taste this wine. I think the first thing it comes into your nose is, okay, for me, it's a touch of nuttiness, a touch of earthiness in there. Then I get a hint of an oak aging in this wine. Might be a second fill glass in there, and as well some yeasty aroma. So I think there was a lees aging ongoing on this wine. On the palate, it's again a restrained aroma, but again for me the acidity, which is really good balanced in this wine, is giving you a pleasure of minerality. So it's a kind of freshness in there. It's a nuttiness. It's even fresh cutted grass. Sometimes it's a little bit of straw in there, but it does have these yeasty aromas, and together with a ripe, sometimes even overripe apples aroma. Just in my mind came up a little bit of Chenin Blanc, yeah, you know, this bruised apple style, which is in the nose as well as on the palate. But I think compared to the Pinot Blanc Leiterberg DNC, you can see the consistency in the style of a Leiterberg DNC. It's all about minerality, it's all about freshness, and it's about not being fruit up front, but it's about working with the palate, working with the structure, and having a very, very good wine together with a meal. It's both wines, the Pinot Blanc as well as the Neuburger, they are delicate. Yeah, they have a lot of finesse, and they have a very, very good structure for me. Yeah, so even this wine in 2017 was a very good vintage in Austria as well, from the amount point of view, but as well from the weather conditions. 17 was good, and especially in 17, what helped in this year was an Indian summer in September and October. Yeah, and there's a saying, the autumn is making the wine. It's not the year before. Yeah, and this is partially true in 2017 as well. Yeah, I like this wine. I think we should get more Neuburger on this style. Traditionally, Neuburger in the former years, there has been more on the sweet side. So there's a lot of Spätlese and Auslese Neuburger, or there used to be a lot of Spätlese and Auslese Neuburger. And this was maybe one of the reasons why Neuburger wasn't that famous. But now with this new style, with this dry style, I think there's a real chance for Neuburger to really shine up in the international market and having something different compared to the Chardonnays and all the other things existing. Yeah, and the last one in the flight is a white wine, a little bit out of the normal, put it like this. It's from the winery Moritz. In Groseflein, Roland Moritz, his brother is based on the eastern side of the lake. Famous wines like Darschow, for example, coming from there, Chardonnay Darschow and Tiglat. Hausmarke White 2018. This is a blend, 75% Gruner Veltliner, 25% Chardonnay. It's aged according to the winemaker, to Roland, it's aged in, I found some big oak, I found some 500-liter oak, I found some stainless steel, I found some whatever. I put the wine there, put it together. So it's everything from everything in there in terms of aging. It's naturally fermented, of course. It's indigenous yeast in this wine. It's on the skin for the whole process of maturation. So if you smell into this wine, maybe it reminds you to the very first wine we had in the flight, the Furmint. Yeah, there's a kind of the same smell in the wine, which is due to the skin contact in the very beginning. Especially what I like is the complexity on this wine in the nose, because we get the flavor of the Gruner Veltliner, which is the green apple flavor, which is the minerality. But at the very same time, you get the Chardonnay aromas as well. So a little bit more exotic, a little bit more ripe flavor. And I think this is a quite interesting wine from the nose point of view. Let's see. Yeah, and even on the palate, I think there's the perfect play between the Gruner Veltliner and the Chardonnay. Yeah, the Chardonnay gives you this broadness and richness, especially in the finishing of the wine, and the Gruner Veltliner is coming in the front of your mouth. Yeah, this freshness, this spiciness, this really crisp sensation you get together with this lees contact. You can feel this creaminess, this roundness on your palate. It makes it really, really nice, drinkable wine, and it has got, for me, I would say that the flavor on top, which is not just a fruity flavor, but it's about the complexity and the perfect balance, and as well, what I like is the structure of this wine. So all the components like alcohol, acidity, and the phenolics, you can feel a touch of bitterness in there, which makes it really amazing, nice. The structure is perfectly balanced on this wine for me. So in 2018, again, a quite ripe year. I think this flight is showing you from the, let's say, more modern style of wines, which was the Furmint and the Hausmarke, and in the middle, the more classic style of wine, although already with some future intention in the wine production in there. So we get a nice white wine flight with traditional varieties, old varieties, really tailored to the market from today and not from yesterday or the days before. Yeah, so it's something for the future. All of the wines, including the Furman, they do have potential for a couple of years. The Leiterberg for me have the biggest potential. Yeah, but all of them are really drinkable wines and complementing food very, very good. So this would be a kind of a summary for me for the white wine flight.
I think that, you know, Furmint is experiencing right now is a kind of a boom in dry style wines. So before that, we knew that, you know, the sweet wines are being produced in of Furmint, and it's okay. But when you can find the dry style and also in Russian market, it's really amazingly good. And regarding Neuburger, well, it's originating from Lower Austria, from Wachau, where it was firstly found not that long time ago. So, but in any case, it's known to be found there, and it's good that Tienhof is working with this grape variety and produces really very nice wines. And the only Leiterberg DAC that we can have in Russian market made of Neuburger, 100%, which is really very good. And yes, Prila, Pinot Blanc. This is the different. When we talk about Pinot Blanc or Weißburgunder, and it's been a long discussion also as well in social nets about the Pinot Blancs and Weißburgunders, that it's Austrian Weißburgunder is absolutely different style from what you can find in Alsace, or you can find Weißburgunder in Baden area in Germany, or the one that you can find in Alto Adige. So these are all Weißburgunders, but still it's a different style of Weißburgunder that you can find in Austria. Yeah, and and about this, the Moritz wine, the Hausmarke. I remember how we tasted blind. I talked about this at the very beginning of today's online. It was really a very big surprise because it was tasted blind, and I was in between the two grape varieties. Chardonnay, and still, as you said, Georg, that you feel it, you know, it's somewhere over here on the tip of your tongue that you feel the Grüne Veltliner, but coming from Burgenland. It's not from Lower Austria or something. So this is the style of wine from Burgenland. And when I learned it, that it's Moritz, that it's Roland, and it's Chardonnay, and well, I know that the two brothers have different, you know, different wineries and different production, because Wehrlich works with Chardonnay and white wines, with white grape varieties, and Moritz still more on the red side, and they are situated in different regions. But still, you know, this Chardonnay from Burgenland, made of, it's not even this natural or traditional modern style. This is something that you taste, that you try, and you never forget, and you will be picking up this wine out of, you know, 100 Chardonnays tasted blind. This is like Emmerich Knoll, when talking about Wachau, he said this is the DNA of, he was talking about Wachau, this is the DNA, I mean the whole set of Burgenland.
Yeah. You know, there is how to say, a couple of years back, in St. Georgen, they found the second side, or the second crossing partner from Grüne Veltliner. Yeah, it's called St. Georgener wine. And of course, Lower Austria was not happy to see Grüne Veltliner having at least 50% in Burgenland area. But still, as you mentioned, this, by the way, these wines, from Grüne Veltliner for this Hausmarke white, they are coming close from the place where the Grüne Veltliner father side is coming from, the St. Georgener. So I fully agree what you have been saying.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
This is what. Yeah, and well, yeah. Ekaterina comments that it's really hard to sell Neuburger. Yes, and for mint, because these are the grape varieties. You know, this is something trendy. This is something new and interesting. But you know, the more tastings we do, the more we shall try to educate people. I think it will serve for the better, because you know, times and years ago, nobody was talking. Not even years ago, but like something like 5 years ago, nobody knew and there were really few people that knew about Blaufränkisch or St. Laurent, for example.
Yeah.
But the more time the more time it goes, the more people taste, the more people hear, the better it is. So
yeah,
we should go
exactly.
on.
And this is what we are doing as well, especially with those varieties which are not so well known. Yeah. The issue here is always we talk about varieties. Yeah. What I'm changing here is if I do presentations, I'm talking about the wine style. I let the people taste blindly, yeah? And only afterwards, okay, this is, let's say, Neuburger. And then the people recognize Neuburger. Because if we start to sell Neuburger as Neuburger, we will have a problem. If we start to sell the wine style, yeah, then Neuburger just happens automatically at the end of the day, yeah? If it's not Chardonnay or Sauvignon Blanc or things like this, yeah? So this is a big of a difference, and I fully agree there should be much more Neuburger out there, because it's really the best.
Well,
good.
Same happens, for example, with Rotgipfel. We have Johannes Hofreinischen Rotgipfel in the market starting from 2006, when it was close to nonsense to have this rare grape variety, and from Austria when Austria was just doing the first steps in our market. But it was easier just to pour the wine and to just to get the opinion of a person, or what would you like to have it in the glass. And according to the description, you were just pouring it, and only later on you could tell about this is a very rare grape variety that you can find solely in Termen region in Austria, which added a little bit of importance, to the wine. So it works in this way, or like Rote Veltliner, just the same. So.
Yeah. I think people are looking for something different, and this is the chance placing these wines.
Yeah.
Okay, good. The next flight topic, Blaufränkisch from north to south. So you've got the 4 Blaufränkisch in your glass. We are going from north to the south, as the name is saying. So Blaufränkisch, I said before, quite old variety. Blaufränkisch is considered to be the noble red grape variety in Austria. Yeah, nothing against Zweigelt. Zweigelt was produced in the sense of mass market. Now they found out if you really treat Zweigelt seriously, it can be a very, very serious wine. Yeah, we will say it later on in the next slide. But Blaufränkisch, even Chances Robinson has been saying Blaufränkisch is the new shining red wine grape variety from Austria and will flow over the whole world whatsoever. Yeah, but Blaufränkisch is Blaufränkisch. So what are the main features of Blaufränkisch? It's about tannins, it's about acidity, it's about affinity to oak, and it's about sense of place. Yeah, so these are the 4 key topics combined in the Blaufränkisch, and we start with a Blaufränkisch from the very north in the Neusiedlersee region from Gols, the winery Stiegelmar. Let's taste this wine. It should be the fruitiest of all of them. It should be. Yeah, if you smell, so the color on Blaufränkisch is always maybe not that deep purple, but it can be, if it's very, very young, deep purple. But if it's a more reserved style of wine, it has always touch of ruby color in there. The rim is always quite small with a hint of a purple impression in there, at least in my glass. In the nose, with this wine we talk about the berries. Yeah, it's a blackberry, it's a blueberry. In the wine, it's about earthiness. It's a little bit. I've got a little impression of cherry jam in this wine, and touches. Really, just touches of a big oak in terms of roundness in the nose. On the palate, I just explained to you, Blaufränkisch is about acidity. I think you can really feel this refreshing acidity on this wine, although this wine has been going through malolactic fermentation. Yeah, so we still talk about 4.7 grams per liter, but for me it's not the number, it's about the impression of the acidity of this wine. So for me it's a more how to say, fruit-oriented, fruit-forward wine with a nice, refreshing acidity, which is not too high, yeah, on the one side, but on the other side, it's bone dry. Yeah, you really can feel how it's drying out, and the big difference. Please remember this tannin structure when you taste the other wines. Yeah, this will be by far the more rounded and softed tannin structure on this wine, which is really good drinkability on this Blaufränkisch. It's vintage 2015, which was a quite ripe and warm vintage. So the grapes have been really, really ripe. And this wine is 100% destamped. Yeah. So there is no stamp, no green tannins, whatever in there. And it's made for drinkability. So this is a nice Blaufränkisch with a lot of primary fruit in there. A touch of secondary flavor you get in this wine as well from the touch of the oak, which is in. Yeah. But the refreshing finish of the Blaufränkisch in the end will give you a good idea how, let's say, fruity-oriented Blaufränkisch is coming from the north of Burgenland. Okay?
Yeah, and this Blaufränkisch is actually is from a single vineyard, which is called Edelgrund, Ried Edelgrund, and the grapes. It's a part of Heideboden, the bigger. I don't know. Maybe it's you can call it like Große Lage, the Heideboden or subzone, because it's a different microclimate, you know, and different vineyards, single vineyards situated in there.
Yeah, yeah. You know, there's one big single vineyard, let's call it like this, Heideboden, as you mentioned, but this is really big. So Heideboden is everything from this one hill, maybe if you're there, yeah, from the hill down to the lake, yeah? And then it's split up into single vineyards. Here we talk, and I think the fruitiness in this wine is mainly due to the gravel, which is on the soil, especially, and a touch of limestone is in there as well. But you're right, it's a single vineyard, and this is the reason why we talk about a serious fruity-oriented Blaufränkisch and not a Blaufränkisch for, let's say, easygoing, everyday drinking. A Blaufränkisch will never be easygoing, yeah, because of the tannins, because of the acidity. If you look for a nice glass of red wine, easygoing, go for a Zweigelt. Yeah, simple Zweigelt will do it, like Beaujolais, like Barbera, things like this. Not the case with Blaufränkisch. Yeah. Okay. Talking about the second wine in this flight, we go down a little bit to the south. So it's the Leiterberg DSC Blaufränkisch from Mr. Tinhoff. Just smell into this wine. It's the same vintage, yeah, but it's not the fruit which is just popping up. Yeah, it's again about minerality. It's about earthiness in this wine. It's a freshness in this wine. It's more so I call it blueberries aromas compared to blackberries, for example. Yeah, we've got hints of oak even more than compared to the first wine. Yeah, and on the palate, for me this wine is a little bit leaner, yeah, but it has much more structure from the refreshing point of view. The acidity is higher. I can really feel it on the side of my tongue, putting it a little bit more creepy, let's put it like this. A high alcohol of 13.5 is warming up in the back, but when I put it down, I start already to get the touch of spiciness, which would be typical for Blaufränkisch as well. And it should be even more spicy with the next wine we have from the Mittelburgenland area. Yeah? So the cooler the climate, the more this wine is grown on limestone sites, yeah, with a hint of a schist in there as well. Yeah? So we get this minerality, the more refreshing style of wine. And for me, this wine is much longer than the wine number one before, yeah? Due to the really freshness and even more dry style of wine we have in the glass in here. Yeah, for me, this is a very, very good example how a Leiterberg DSC Blaufränkisch should look like. It's about minerality, it's about drinkability, freshness, but at the same time, still demanding because the phenolics in this wine is a little bit more, yeah, a little bit more demanding than on wine number one. Yeah, can you feel it? It's a little bit more harsh in there, yeah, but it's still a ripe. It's a very ripe tannin, yeah. It has a very good structure in there. It doesn't have more tannin, but the structure of the tannins is different, yeah, more demanding, more mineral.
Yeah,
Okay.
and talking about Blaufränkisch in Leiterberg, if I'm not mistaken, it was Mr. Nietnaus, who is actually from Neusiedlersee, but he just found and he discovered for himself one day the Blaufränkisch coming from Leiterberg. Before it was called the Neusiedlersee Hügelland. And since then, they started, he started to promote Blaufränkisch from this area. And finally, here's the Leiterberg DAC Blaufränkisch. We have the style, which is completely different from the style of Blaufränkisch that we can find from Burgenland. It's one style, and Eisenberg is the other one. And it's prescribed even the tasting profile, how it should like the Leiterberg DAC Blaufränkisch. It's written in the rules. I mean, the tasting profile itself. So it's this makes really an interesting thing, an interesting site. So even during the tasting, the Blaufränkisch and the Leiterberg DAC, it should not the Blaufränkisch shouldn't have this oaky style. It just should be a touch of oak, and that's it. So really very slightly, but just to show the grape variety and to show the soil actually, because it is unique over there. It has the schist soil with schist and Muschelkalk or the limestone, where Blaufränkisch.
Microschist.
Yeah, microschist. Yeah.
Yeah, but the funny thing on Leiterberg is we have limestone, we have schist, we have microschist, and they have granite in there, but it can differ between 20 meters, yeah? We have different soil types, and this is the interesting thing on the Blaufränkisch. Yeah, and Mr. Nietnaus was saying the best Blaufränkisch is coming from the Leiterberg area, although he is from the Neusiedlersee area. Yeah. Which didn't make him a lot of friends in Neusiedlersee, but that's what he is saying, yeah?
Yeah.
But you're completely right. And always with Leiterberg, regardless of white or red, the oak, and I think here the integration of oak is perfect with this Leiterberg, yeah? The oak should be supporting and not overwhelming, yeah? In the tasting, so you have to apply for this Leiterberg DAC in a tasting, and there are tasters, and one of the remarks is, if you are not going to be Leiterberg DAC, one of the mostly written remarks is too much oak. Yeah, so the people with too much oak will not get the label of Leiterberg DAC.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So let's move to Mittelburgenland. Heute John, Mr. Weninger, quite well-known variety guy as well. Blaufränkisch Ried Hochecker, so it's again a single vineyard wine from vintage 2015, all the same. This is really good that we have the same vintage here. You can see from the numbers, it's almost the same. Look here, yeah, it's almost the same. Here acidity is a little bit lower in the Neusiedlersee as it's warmer, yeah. Then Leiterberg a little bit cooler, 6.1, yeah, and here Mittelburgenland 5.8. So acidity is almost the same like in Leiterberg, but when you smell into this glass, it's a lot of blackberries in there. It's a bit of earthiness. I get this touch of herbiness as well. So for me, it's a little bit of this garrick, from the French Provence in there. Oak is there as well, but again, very good integrated. But it's for me, it's a more, a more dense oak from the structure compared to the Leiterberg oak, which is more a supporting one. Yeah, let's see. And on the palate, I think you get the big difference to the Leiterberg. Yeah? It's coming into your mouth and it's really spreading around. Yeah? You have the impression of a full-bodied red wine, Blaufränkisch from Mittelburgenland, grown on quite clay soils, yeah, with a lot of black soil, black earth up there, and underneath there is gravel. So we talk about fruitiness. The tannins on this one, for sure, this is a clone with a little bit more tannins, but they're more, demanding. Yeah, you can feel it. It's a little bit astringent, even sometimes, and in the very front of your teeth. And especially what I mentioned before on the Leiterberg, which was starting there already, with this one in the finish, it's about the spiciness. Yeah. So you always, with Blaufränkisch from Mittelburgenland, you will have the spiciness in the finish. Yeah, diese Würze, as we call it, is typically for Blaufränkisch from Mittelburgenland. Yeah, Svetlana was saying quite well developed. Yeah, all of the three wines up to now are quite well developed, but they are still young for me. So they still have potential. Of course, number one does have potential. Number two and number three, for me, a little bit more of potential and then more of development ongoing. They are still young, but they show hints already of tertiary aromas in there. This earthiness I mentioned before, for example. But you can see Blaufränkisch is as well a variety to age, which is really important. And the best Blaufränkisch wines can hold up to 30, 35, 40 years with no problem. But this wine is a more full-bodied, more pressured wine of Blaufränkisch, especially in comparison with Leiterberg, as well as with the comparison with Gols, so from the Neusiedler See region. So the more dense, the more dark berry fruit is coming from the Mittelburgenland area, the more red berry fruit coming from the Neusiedler See area, and the leaner style and more refreshing style of Blaufränkisch is coming from the Leiterberg area. Yeah? And as a next comparison, let's go to the south to Eisenberg. Eisenberg, Blaufränkisch Ried Weinberg, one of the most famous single vineyards, Weinberg in Deutschschützen from Wachter Wiesler. As said before, Blaufränkisch is there considered the red grape variety, especially in the DSC ranking. Looking on the color and looking on the vintage 2013, I think you can see that very well made Blaufränkisch is not losing color that fast. Yeah, so it's still for me a quite dense color with a ruby style, a short purple rim in there. In the nose, I told you before, the region of Eisenberg does have a lot of iron in the soil. So this minerality is coming again. So I would compare the nose of this wine a little bit with the nose of the Leiterberg wine before. Yeah, so it's again something more mineral, more linear. We've got blackberries, but it's from the nose point of view. And 13 was one of the hottest vintages ever. Yeah, we have to say it was even I think it was 5 or 6 days above 40 degrees, 40. Yeah, 40 degrees of Celsius in this year, and no rain. It was so dry. We had in the Neusiedler See region we had about 150 millimeters compared to 500 normal. So 1/3 of the total normally. Yeah, I think the note is there. We got a lot more tertiary aromas in there. So we have mushrooms. At least I can smell this mushrooms, earthiness, then a touch of a little bit horsiness, yeah, in there. I don't know if your wine has it as well, but it for me it's on the border because it makes it elegant and it makes it nice to wine. Yeah, it's not this typical bread or whatever you want to call it. Yeah. And on the palate, it's the most developed wine. It has got a very, very good balance between the fruit, the tertiary aromas. There's the oak is coming down the palate as well, a little bit. A refreshing acidity, and especially the phenolics. Look on the tannins on this wine. Yeah, it's not a creepy, but it's a ripe tannins with a very good structure, but still demanding. Although the wine is already 6 years of age. Yeah, so in the Südburgenland or Eisenberg area, we always have this more demanding tannin structure in the Blaufränkisch wines due to the soil type, which is a lot of iron. The Vineyard Weinberg, it's a south-facing. So Ekaterina was asking about the Vineyard Weinberg. It's a southeast-facing vineyard in the slope of Deutschschützen. It's planted with Blaufränkisch and Welsh Riesling, by the way, is there as well. and it's one of the vineyards. The former name was Weingarten. I can put it. They just changed it. So this is the same. If you see all the vintages which are called Weingarten, it's the same as Weinberg. Yeah, they just changed the naming of this vineyard, and it's one of the warmest vineyards in this area down there. Rain rate roughly about 700 to 800 millimeters on this side, and especially said for Blaufränkisch and for Welsh Riesling made. Blaufränkisch is more planted in the lower part of the vineyards, Welsh Riesling a little bit more in the upper part of the vineyards, and the soil type is changing from being very iron content in the higher part to a little bit more loess and clay content in the southern part of the vineyard. But it's the traditional single vineyard in Eisenberg. Yeah, I think all of the four wines show the typical flavors of Blaufränkisch, but the different style. Yeah, it's the fruity style on number 1, compared with the more dark fruit on number 3 in the Mittelburgenland wine. The mineral style on 2 and 4, although the number 2 is even more linear than the number 4, and the number 4 has got a little bit more of oak touch in there compared to number 2. Yeah, so Blaufränkisch for everybody. How did they manage to keep such a beautiful acidity in the hottest year? As said before, it's because it's the coolest area in Burgenland, and the rain rate is about 700-800 millimeters. And in 2013, especially in the Eisenberg region, this was the region with most of the rain in Burgenland. Yeah? Harvest time on these grapes beginning of October. And the good thing in 2013, if you, but hottest vineyard, yeah. But in October, it started to have, end of September, beginning of October, it started to have cool nights. And cool nights always preserving the acidity, especially in Deutschschützen. So if you're in Deutschschützen, let's say beginning of October, during nighttime, it can easily go down to 10 degrees or below even, which is good for the acidity and the fruitiness of the wines. So this is the explanation. Okay, good. Yeah, I would say let's go for the next flight. You're welcome. So it's about the red diversity. We got 3 wines. So the number 1 is Zweigelt. So it's the Zweigelt from Winery Wenninger in Horizon. Zweigelt is the main red grape variety in Austria. As said, it's a cross between Blaufränkisch and St. Laurent. And of course, it's grown in Burgenland as well. And Zweigelt always used to be considered being, let's say, if you want to have a nice glass of wine for daily purposes, go for a Zweigelt, and you don't make anything wrong with that one. So the Zweigelt in Fluss 2017, you can see the interesting thing here is, although it's from Mittelburgenland, which is having quite heavy soils, we talk about an alcohol level of 11.5, residual sugar of 1 gram per liter, and acidity of 5.8. So this is 2017 here. The harvest on this wine, I guess, beginning of September or even end of August in 2017. Otherwise, you wouldn't get this number of ABV, of alcohol in there. When you smell the wine, for me, it has got this typically Zweigelt fruit flavor, which is cherry and sour cherry normally. At least in my wine, I don't know how it's with your wine. I've got this, I would consider now as a bread, to be honest. I don't know how it's in your case. Okay, very good, Vladimir. Maybe you just smell in the first wine how it's looking like in your.
Yeah, just tell us what do you feel in it, because having different vintages.
Yeah, as well as on the palate. So I would say in the English meaning, it's an interesting wine. There's a lot of primary fruit in this wine. It's about the cherry fruit. It's got a touch of spiciness and herbiness as well. But on top of it, for me, is this animal. So it's a little bit of not ham, but yeah, I will remember this word. But especially on the palate, you can feel this astringency a little bit from the tannins. They are not fully ripe. And normally Zweigelt, compared to Blaufränkisch, does have more smoother tannins. Blaufränkisch is having more aggressive tannins, more powerful tannins, and Zweigelt is always about smoothness and roundness. But with this wine, and I think this is, at least in my glass or with my bottle, this is due to the Brettanomyces in there, the tannins are appearing much too heavy, and it's quite lean for me. Okay, this would go with the 11.5 of alcohol as well. It's a quite refreshing wine. And then a touch of sweetness, bacon sweetness is in there in my glass. I don't know how it's in your glasses.
Volodya, will you say something about this one? What is your opinion about this? Because I think that we have different...
And about the first one. So that's a real difference between the Blaufränkisch set. So it's a paler and more polite in aromas, and aromas concentrate in red berry. So it has a red berry character much more than the previous set. Not so tannic, but very refreshing in acidity. So, and yes, I remember the comment about Blaufränkisch set. So Blaufränkisch was more tough and more difficult. This one is absolutely drinkable wine. So big glass order and big sip.
Yeah. I think as when I was presenting this Zweigelt variety around the world, and people ask me what would you compare with, I would say it's like your pizza and pasta wine. You can do it on a daily basis with no problem. And even one American guy once said to me, you tasting a Zweigelt, and then saying, you damn Austrians, you know how to do good Barbera. So this was kind of, it's quite unfortunate that my wine has got a fault in there, but normally, as you said, exactly, it's about red berries, it's about roundness, softness, easygoing, nice to drink, nothing more than that. Let's try maybe the next one, Zweigelt from Judith Beck. Yeah, this smells much better. So this is about the dark cherries and this more red cherries in there. Touch of violets I've got, in this wine. The color, if you look at the color of this wine, this is purple, and classical Zweigelt is purple, this you can remember. So if you see a lot of purple in there, which goes, of course, with the pH of the wine. The color changes with the pH of the wine. But anyhow, this is typically for Zweigelt having a lot of purple influences in there. The nose is fruity. There is no visible oak, maybe some used oak in this wine, just to give a little bit more of substance and structure. And on the palate, as I described before, I think this is really a nice, harmless, balanced glass of red wine with a lot of cherry fruit, quite good acidity. 5.1, by the way, is not so low for Zweigelt. Although this wine has been doing malolactic fermentation as well, this I know for sure. It has been aged in old oak barrels, 500 liters and above with Judith. That's her style, how she is doing it. She's biodynamic, by the way. And 12.5 ABV means, again, it's a classical Zweigelt for everyday's consumption, nice to drink, easy going. A lot of people will like this wine. That would be my summary on this one.
Yeah, and people do like this style. And actually, when once we did the blind tasting of Blaufränkisch from Burgenland, and we had a Blaufränkisch from Judith, and it was, you know, it was not even the Blaufränkisch from Neusiedlersee, it was the Blaufränkisch from Judith, because she has her own style, just like with Zweigelt. So even Zweigelt, I mean, like basic wine, like Zweigelt, which is not from single vineyard or something. It is just, you know, like classy, really very, very good one.
Yes. She has her own treatment, what she's doing, and she's fully standing behind what she's doing. And her wines are different. They are not, how to say, for me, they are really interesting in a positive sense, because every wine has a soul somehow. And she's describing exactly why the wine is tasting like it's tasting. And for me, this is one of the hidden secrets that wine growers exactly know what they want to have in a bottle and can explain. And this is for sure the case with Judith here. Yeah, I like this very much. Good. This have been two Zweigelt, and I wanted to show one other variety, which is the St. Laurent Apfelgrund. Apfelgrund is a single variety in Golz area from the winery Stiegelmar. And as said before, St. Laurent might be the next future red grape variety. Just one question: who is usually darker, Zweigelt or Blaufränkisch? It depends on the age. So when it's young, Zweigelt for sure is darker. It's even black. Blaufränkisch can be black as well, but normally has got a little softer color. The more age is on the wine, the faster Zweigelt will go more lighter in color, and Blaufränkisch will stay with the color over time. And Blaufränkisch will turn into more this, orange appeal type of wine, more ruby style and even garnet style of wine, where Zweigelt will always have this purple hints in there, but will lose color much faster. This is a generalization, and of course there are examples out there which showing a different color, but this can be done in general terms. Okay, St. Laurent. Yeah, this something burnt in St. Laurent. I can tell you what's that. It's called barrique. Yeah, it's a strong toasting in there. Exactly. Yeah, maybe it's double oak. I don't know, but anyway, it's the barrique. It's a strong toasting according to my nose. A lot of roasted aromas is in there. St. Laurent belongs to the Pinot family. The big difference is it has got much more fruit, barkberry fruit, blackberry fruit in there. Lower acidity. And as said, on the alcohol side, it goes up to 12.5 if you're not doing chaptalization, regardless when you're really harvesting the wine. But St. Laurent is a deeply colored wine in comparison to Pinot Noir. It has a lot more of this blackberry fruit. I think, nosing this wine, it has got a lot of blackberry fruit, it has got jammy fruit, but it has got a lot of oak. This roasted aromas is, I would say, very motivated from the winery. Let's taste. Yeah, on the palate, it's still here, but it's not so obvious or not so overwhelming, because there's a lot of structure in this wine as well. But what you can feel, we always say it's a full mouth of wine. Yeah, so really you have a good body in this wine, a full body of this wine, although it's just 12.5 ABV. Yeah, so this is the thing on St. Laurent, that you really can make full-bodied wines with a nice fruity structure and a lot of pressure on your tongue, on your palate, although the alcohol is not that high. Acidity can be a problem. As you see, it's 4.8 here, but I think it's just about right in this wine. It's balancing. For me, personally, the oak is a little bit too much. However, looking on the vintage 2017 and tasting the wine, I think giving it another 2-3 years would benefit for this wine. So this is for me still young to drink. Apfelgrund is a vineyard with a lot of gravel in there, so it's a quite warm vintage because the gravel is reflecting the warm which was stored during the day. So the grapes are really, really ripe, and this is, if you look on the color, it's a quite deep color in there, and it would go fine with the amount of oak in there, because if the grapes are not really ripe, you wouldn't put that much oak on the wine. And Mr. Stiegelmeier is a quite well-known wine grower. He knows what he's doing. So, and knowing St. Laurent back in 95 and 93, even from this guy, they always started like this, but then they developed and really smoothed out.
Yeah, but actually here the Stiegelmeier, he's using both types of oak. I mean, big oak barrels used. The 500 liter, and also barrique, but just a little bit. I mean, maybe it's because on the palate it's not that evident. I mean, everything is it's pretty elegant, pretty nice one, and I mean, even if you take it 2017, it's pretty cooler style St. Laurent, in my opinion.
It is a cooler style of St. Laurent, that's true, and. Although he's on the script sheet, he's putting 12 months in big oak. Yeah, I think there was some oak. Maybe he has been doing a blend with 15% of new barrels, whatever it is. I don't know. But from the taste point of view, this roasted aroma is simply due to the oakiness, to the barrenness. But as said, some time for this wine. You will see how this is developing and really opening up.
But if you hold in glass this St. Laurent, it will opens up and will be absolutely berry style wine, really very fruity, and this the aftertaste, what you can feel, which tells that it's St. Laurent, is this cherry bone that you feel it, and it's really very strong over there and goes through the palate.
Yeah. The good thing on St. Laurent, although there's a lot of fruit in there and a lot of full body, it's never going to be flabby. Yeah, this is the good thing on St. Laurent. Yeah, compared to other red grape varieties. Okay. Good. So. I think we can go for the last one if there are not any more questions on the red wines. So maybe just rinse your glasses, because otherwise we get colored sweet wines.
Oh yes, there is one question from Dennis. What about black pepper notes? It's Blaufränkisch or Zweigelt, for which grape variety it's more typical for Blaufränkisch or Zweigelt?
Yeah, there's a saying. There's a saying that Blaufränkisch is typically black pepper notes, but this saying is coming because of the comparison Blaufränkisch and Syrah or Shiraz. Yeah, a lot of people in blind tastings, in special styles, of course, compare Blaufränkisch with Shiraz, and there we have these black pepper notes. Yeah, the black pepper is typically, as we had it in our tasting, for the Mittelburgenland Blaufränkisch area, the spiciness in the finish. Yeah. Whereas white pepper is Grüne Veltliner, black pepper is the Blaufränkisch, but black pepper is much more consistent with Syrah and Shiraz. Regardless if it's from Australia, from the US, or from the France area, talking about black pepper, Blaufränkisch Austria, then we normally talk about Mittelburgenland. That's it. Okay. Good, so let's go for the sweet sensation. So, yes, sweet wine does have a tradition in Austria. We always had sweet wines. Even the normal wines which were drunk back in the 60s, 70s, 80s have been sweet. Yeah, this was one of the reasons for the wine scandal as well, back in 85. But now sweet wine is something completely different. We have been choosing different style of sweet wines. So Cuvée Beerenauslese from Mr. Kracher, then we get a Trockenbeerenauslese, and we get another Trockenbeerenauslese from Zanto. Maybe just a little bit of theory behind Beerenauslese as well as Trockenbeerenauslese are considered to be wines or grapes with botrytis. So the amount of botrytis is the difference. With Beerenauslese, we're not talking about 100% botrytis on the grapes. With Trockenbeerenauslese, we're talking up to 100% botrytis of the grapes. So this is the big difference. But botrytis has to be there to make the sweet wines. In comparison with Spätlese or Auslese, where no botrytis is here as such. It's just really, really ripe grapes. And Eiswein and Strohwein is something different as well. What's typical for the Beerenauslese and Trockenbeerenauslese in Austria, if we talk about the east side of the lake, like Mr. Kracher or Mr. Winery Zanto, we have later on, we normally talk about a lower level of alcohol and a high level of residual sugar and a lower level of acidity. And acidity is the most important thing on sweet wines because you need to have the balance. Yeah, between sugar and acidity. If we talk about the western side of the lake, then we normally have a higher alcohol, little bit lower residual sugar, and a higher acidity. So either or, whatever you prefer, this is the way how it's going. Yeah, Jana, you cannot see a lot of them because they are bloody expensive when they arrive to Russia, but they are not so expensive as Sauternes, yeah, to be honest.
Yeah, but Sauternes, everybody knows Sauternes and Grigori. Yes, there were the ice wines, but for example, we would like to have the ice wine also for our tasting to talk about it. But the fact is that importers just do not have it on stock. That's it. So when they bring the sweet wines, it's not that often the orders that you can order. Yes, ice wine is not the wine that you can have every year, but in the end, it's just like the matter of happening. It's just the wine companies, the wine trading companies, importers are out of stock, and that's it.
Yeah. That's a tricky thing here. Yeah, in Austria, the amount of sweet wine produced is going down as well because it's really a hard sell. The good thing is with sweet wine, even if you drink now vintage, let's say 69 or 70, they're still perfectly fine, the wine, so they can keep for a quite long time. There was one comment, but there were before TBR are not less expensive than ice wines. Yeah, but still, we are always saying if you buy the wines in Austria, in comparison, they are cheap because this small bottle, as you see it here, this Beerenauslese, might be 25 euros from the winery directly. Yeah, which is a very, very good price for the thing in there. But as one winery is always saying, it's a God-given thing because botrytis is something produced by nature. And by the way, this is one of the big differences to America, for example, to the States, where they can inject botrytis on grapes. Yeah, this is not the case here in Austria. The second thing on Sauternes, for example, if they have a bad year in terms of botrytis, they can do Gruyere extraction. It's not allowed in Austria. So this is real a natural given thing if you talk about Austrian sweet wines. Yeah, we are not doing any artificial things in there. Good. So let's taste the wines. I think if you just look on the three wines in the glass, you can see automatically the difference in color. The Beerenauslese is, let's say, a pretty pure golden color, and the Trockenbeerenauslese, they are more dense golden color with even, for me, sometimes kind of copper or red hint in there. If you smell the Beerenauslese from Kracher, a lot of tropical, exotic fruit in there. We've got peach. We got some citric touch in the fruit. We got dried fruits, exotic flavors, touch of honey, of course. Yeah, so you can smell the botrytis. I don't know if somebody of you knows that, but the English guys, they always say if they smell botrytis, they say marmalade. Yeah, and I was always thinking about marmalade, what comes. But if they talk about marmalade, they only talk about orange marmalade, and this is true, by the way. Yeah, and not about strawberries marmalade, or because that's called jam. Yeah, in English. So quite complex and interesting flavor. It smells sweet, of course. Let's taste. Yep. I like this wine, although it's 133 grams of residual sugar. I think the acidity is really good buffering this sugar. Of course, it's a sweet wine, yeah, but it's a balanced wine. It's nice, it's animating. In the finish, you can feel a little use of French oak barrels, so there's a touch of vanilla in there as well in this wine. And I think cuvée, yeah, it's a cuvée from 60% of Welsh Riesling and 40% of Chardonnay in this wine. And the one who is giving the acidity, that's Welsh Riesling. Because Welsh Riesling is the variety, when it really, really gets ripe, it stays with the acidity level. And 6.3 grams of acidity with this sugar is a perfectly balanced wine for the eastern side of the Lake of Neusiedl. You have this honey notes in there, of course, and a very, very long but smooth finish with a good sweetness, but not a lot of sweetness. That's what I'm saying. And the good thing is, of course, if you have this bottle opened, you can keep it up to 2-3 weeks in your refrigerator, and you still can enjoy a good glass of wine in there. So for me, this is a really good example for a wine when people say, okay, I don't like sweet wine. Yeah. We could say, okay, please try this wine. It's sweet, but it does have freshness as well on the acidity side. Yeah. Jumping to the next from Kracher, TBA, Trockenbeerenauslese Noble Reserve, non-vintage. So this non-vintage is a blend from different vintages. It's a blend of varieties from Welsh Riesling, Chardonnay, and a portion of Traminer is in there. So Traminer, a quite flowery grape variety. The color, I said, is dense golden in there. If you smell in there, you even smell more botrytis, which should be the case, but it's really orange marmalade. In your nose, a little touch of bread crust. Then for me, there is French oak, vanilla tone in there, exotic flavor, dried fruit, honey. As well as a touch of volatile acidity, which makes it really interesting, the wine. So the legal figures on volatile acidity on sweet wines is much higher compared to normal wines. And just on the palate, yeah, of course it's sweet again, but just compare it with the wine before. It's more dense now, but the refreshing factor is almost the same, although the sugar is like 1/3 more, so 60% more. And just make a mathematical example here. We talk about 194 grams of residual sugar and 11.5 ABV. So roughly 17 grams of sugar relate to 1% of ABV. So the harvest of this wine has been with a potential alcohol of about 24% of ABV. This was the ripeness status of the grapes when they were harvested. So they must be really shriveled and shrimped and completely with botrytis. And it was a good botrytis because of the cleanness of the botrytis style in the nose. This wine is sweet for sure. So if somebody don't like sweet wines, yeah, you cannot do anything. Although the acidity is really refreshing on this. Yeah.
Now, actually, I think that when it comes to sweet wines from Austria, when you talk about this or compare with, for example, Sauterne wine, in Sauternes you can always feel these penicillin notes, and it's something, you know, in Austrian wine you can feel always the fruit. It's the fruitiness which comes on the first, and then the level of acidity. It's so clear, you know, you feel it really on the palate. And it's, even if you have, you know, the TBAs with really, or ice wines with higher residual sugar, you are never getting tired of these sweet wines. And I'll tell you a little secret. My mom switched. Well, she likes the dry style wines, and she loves wines from Austria. Well, she has to. But her favorite wines are the sweet wines from Seewinkel area, and especially ones she likes the ones from Semling or from Scheurebe. She likes this acidity and the fruitiness, the aromas, even if it's just a Beerenauslese. Then it's absolutely great. And I've never ever met a person who would not like the sweet wines from Austria, thanks to this acidity. So it clears your palate, it cleans up all the sweetness right away, just swipes it up, and it's perfect. Yeah,
that's really true, and it's really hard on the east side of the lake, like Mr. Kracher, to really get this acidity. It's a little bit easier on the west side of the lake. So if you have, let's say, Ruster Ausbruch, for example, from Pfeiler Attinger, they by nature have a little bit more of acidity. And just to tell you one secret of mine, in my cellar I have a Beerenauslese from a wine grower on the western side of the lake from 1995. It's a Welsh Riesling, 100%. It's so bloody good. It's a Beerenauslese with 180 grams of residual sugar and 12.5 acidity. 12.5. So
that's a lot.
It's not sweet at all. It's just pleasure. Yeah, it's really pleasure. Yeah. But this is the secret, really, to have this, because if you think about straw wine, for example, from Italy, Vinsanto, this is quite often gluey, in a sense, because they're missing the acidity, But this is the difference, and Austria is always about fruit compared with acidity with freshness. That's it.
Yeah, and once when been in Rust, and actually I would like to ask you to tell us about more about Ruster Ausbruch, as it is a unique category of sweet wine. So we visited Heidi Schröck, and Heidi was so nice with us that she prepared stuffed paprika that is actually normal for our kitchen as well. So it's pretty often that we cook at home. And we were so surprised to combine this stuffed paprika with sweet wines from Ruster Ausbruch, and also with Beerenauslese and Spätlese that she does. And it performed absolutely great. It was, you know, the most unusual food pairing that I could ever met, apart from pork fat with bubbles.
So Heidi Schröck is the leader, lady, so to say, from Circle Ruster Ausbruch. Ruster Ausbruch is now a own category in the wine law. Before that, it was one category below Trockenbeerenauslese, but now only Rust is allowed to put the word Ausbruch on the wine. It's the category of Trockenbeerenauslese, so they're the same legal laws like Trockenbeerenauslese behind. And the history tells you that with Ausbruch, there was the sweet wine, the city of Rust gained their own municipally, somehow, and they had to pay a certain amount of money, and some liters, 500 liters of Ruster Ausbruch. So they were breaking out of the Hungarian Empire somehow, and this is the meaning behind. But it's like a Trockenbeerenauslese from legal point of view, and just Rust is allowed to put it on there. And the famous thing on Ruster Ausbruch is varieties like Burgundian varieties. Furmint is quite often part of it in Ruster Ausbruch, with Heidi Schröck, for example. She does have a Furmint Ausbruch. And the special thing here on Ausbruch compared to Trockenbeerenauslese is that Ruster Ausbruch normally, depending on the winery, is a mixture between barrique fermented wines, plus a portion of stainless steel fermented wines. Not all of them are doing this, but a lot of them are doing this just to keep the freshness and the freshness to the wine. And what's especially with Ruster Ausbruch, a lot of these Ruster Ausbruch wines, they have acidity levels beyond 10 grams per liter. Yeah, and the sugar levels are normally around 225 to 250 grams per liter of sugar in there. And this seems to be the perfect balance for a sweet wine.
Yeah, but actually also, according to the technology, if I'm not mistaken, if, for example, in TBA production, it's not allowed to add Beerenauslese or Spätlese to sweeten to get the
This is the law for all the sweet wines. Yeah, the sweetness in the sweet wines, according to the law, are coming purely from the grapes. So it's the not fermented sugar. Yeah. At the end of the day, we are not allowed with sweet wine. We are not allowed to sweeten sweet wine with Spätlese, Auslese, or something like that. This is not allowed, even not with Ausbruch. With Ausbruch, what you are doing is you sometimes take a dry wine just to break the sugar out of the botrytis grapes. Yeah, this is what you're referring to. Okay.
Yeah.
So because this liquid helps to get the sugar out. Yeah. That's how they do it.
Yeah.
Okay, good. And then let's jump to the last one, the TBA from Zanto.
Yeah, unfortunately,
Again,
unfortunately, we don't have it at the tasting, but still, it would be really very nice to
okay,
discuss,
so I have it in front of mine. Yeah, so the big difference to the TBA from Gracha before is a little bit more of acidity in there. This is mainly due to the reason that 10% of this blend is Riesling. Again, we get a higher acidity structure. 30% is Welsh Riesling, and the rest is Pinot Blanc in this wine. Comparing these two wines, the TBA from Zanto seems to be a little bit more sweet from the impression point of view. A lot of exotic flavor is there. The bread crust is there. The botrytis is there. The TBA from Gracha seems to be a little bit more elegant and a little bit more refreshing. Yeah, this is the big difference here. What's quite clear on the Zanto side is that we talk about a lower alcohol. I would say so. Let me check. Yeah, it's about 10% of alcohol. So it's just a little bit more sweet and a little bit more broad at the end in the finish. Yeah, but this is really referring to a style you like and you choose. Yeah, and by the way, if you talk about sweet wine and you talked about your experience. One of my greatest experiences with sweet wine from Austria was having a steak, like a normal steak, together with sweet wine. Just try it. A big portion of meat, really well, not well done, but could be medium, but roasted, but quite good, well roasted. So you get this roasted aromas from the meat together with the sweet wine. It's just a pleasure. That's how it is.
I will try it, definitely. Here being in the country house, with barbecue maybe even. We'll see.
Yeah, do it. And even if you have spare ribs, for example, where you put some honey on it and then you just grill it, take the sweet wine. Yeah, okay. You will see. It's a perfect fit.
Thanks for the hint. Okay.
I just see one question more. If we're talking about ice wine, it should be without any botrytis, right? Yes, this is right. It should be without any botrytis. In difference to Sauterne, for example. So the law is saying ice wine, the grapes, they have to be frozen -7 degrees when they are still in the press. So the ice remains in the press and the condensed liquid is running out, and there should be no botrytis on it. Some of the ice wines do have, but it happens.
No, in any case, it's pretty hard, and when I showed, I don't remember who I showed how it's, this grapes, the ice wine, the grapes itself are being picked. It's not even in the gloves, but your fingers are absolutely getting frozen because you pick it up when it's -8, and then you pick it up with your bare fingers, and it's like I don't know, together the icicles.
Yeah. You have to go out in the vineyard for harvest about 3-4 o'clock in the morning, because the grapes have to be frozen in the press when they're in there, and then there has to be the guy, the so-called amtlicher Mostweger, just checking if everything is fine. And if the grapes are not frozen anymore, the wine is classified to normal quality wine. even not Spätlese or Auslese, although the sugar was here, yeah, it's just normal quality wine. As long because the grapes have not been frozen, like minus 6 degrees, yeah. Sorry, it's just quality wine. That's how it goes.
It's pretty hard work.
Yeah. It's pretty hard, yeah. Good. So, yeah, I'm at the end of my run through from the north to the south about the varieties and the diversity. So I hope you enjoyed the seminar, and yeah, let's have a lot more classes of wine from Burgenland in the future. Okay.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for really very interesting lecture. Actually, it's the first time when we have this, the total overview of Burgenland. Because before we did the splittings, we were more focused, for example, on red wines or the Blaufränkisch or Zweigel, St. Laurent and Blaufränkisch. But this is really very interesting and fascinating to have it, and also with the samples and all this work that you did, especially taking into consideration that it's a little bit weird, when we are like online talking and the guys are listening to us and tasting offline without the possibility to have this face-to-face contact. But I hope when everything is over, and I hope it's pretty soon it's over, then we can do pretty lot of different master classes on wines from Burgenland, but do it in Moscow or St. Petersburg or in Russia or don't know. We'll see. We have many ideas and a lot of will and wish to get to know more about wines from Austria.
Very good. I'm really looking forward to come over to Moscow or St. Petersburg again and having the face-to-face lecturing. But I hope you enjoyed. This is the way how we can do it right now. I have a lot of ideas as well, so please exchange our ideas and make a follow-up on this one, maybe on specific topics, whatever it is, until we can come up in person and have a real chat and very good discussion.
Yeah, so, I'm sure we shall make it, and we shall discuss everything with the guys. So, guys, Arina, thank you so much. Thanks, guys, for your coming, for gathering in Wine State and having this social distancing. But still, I miss you a lot. And hope soon I will see you also face to face, all of you. I think it's been 4 months already that I haven't seen anyone in person, just online. Yeah, but in any case, thanks to everybody for this opportunity, for you, Georg, and also for Moscow Sommelier Association, Vladimir and Dennis for helping, Roman for bringing the projector, trying to fix it. We made it in the end.
Okay, thank you so much from my side as well. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Georg, from the audience. Yes, that's busy guys, but they're moving to work, some of them. So, in spite of it, thank you very much. And as I understand, so they're more or less. So okay, start smiling.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, and let's empty the bottles. I have a lot to do with me. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, bye.